AP Board Class 10 Biology 2024 Final Touch. Important questions. Nutrition. One more questions. Which digestive juice does not contain enzymes? Give an example of a plant parasite. Which vitamin is responsible for clotting of blood? Write the balanced chemical equations of photosynthesis. What are assimilatory powers? What is the connecting substance between light reaction and dark reaction? Which aquatic plants are used in photosynthesis experiments? What is photolysis of water? What are the end products of light reaction? Expand NADP. Which part of chloroplast light reactions and dark reactions takes place? What are the steps involved in holozoic nutrition? What is emulsification? Name the vitamin which is synthesized by the bacteria present in the human intestine. 2 marks questions. What are the parts of human digestive system? Most leaves have the upper surface green and shiny, then lower ones white. Give examples for saprophytic and holozoic nutrition. What is the role of acid in the stomach? What will happen if mucus is not secreted by the gastric glands? Difference between bolus and chyme. What are the end products of carbohydrates, proteins and fats in digestion? What questions do you ask to know about malnutrition? 4 mark questions. Taste of leaf diagram. Write the differences between autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. What is malnutrition? Explain some nutritional deficiency diseases. Write the differences between light and dark reactions. Describe the process of nutrition in amoeba with the help of a diagram. Explain the structure of chloroplast with the help of a neat labeled diagram. 8 marks questions. What process you follow in your laboratory to study presence of starch in leaves? Next, what is the aim of this experiment? What do you see? What materials are essential for the process of synthesis? What are the precautions taken in this experiment? Next, write an experiment to prove that oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis in the presence of light. Why do you use hydrola plant in this experiment? What is the gas collected in this test tube? What are the precautions taken in the experiment and label the parts? Observe the above diagram and answer the following questions. What is the aim of this experiment? Which solution is taken in this bottle? After the iodine test, the part of the leaf inside the bottle don't turn blue-black color. Why? Where do you keep the plant before experiment? Observe the above diagram and answer the following questions. Sunlight is necessary to form starch in green plants. Next, write the differences between light and dark reactions of photosynthesis. Next, respiration. 1 mark questions. Write nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveolus, blood. Next, observe the given table and answer the question. What are the inner folds of mitochondria? How lungs are protected from injury? How much energy is released from ATP molecule? What is the organelle that involves the respiration? Which respiratory product causes muscle fatigue? What is the second stage of anaerobic respiration? What are respiratory organs in crocodile and dolphin? What is cutaneous respiration? Write the equations of gaseous exchange at lung level. What is the flexible flattened muscle that has key role in the respiration? What is cellular respiration? Next 2 marks questions. Why is the left lung smaller than the right lung? Write the adaptations seen in plants living in waterlogged conditions. Anil said plants photosynthesize during daytime and respire during the night. Do you agree to this statement? Why? Why not? Next, after play or run, Prasad feel muscle pain. What is relationship between pain and respiration? Next, Pratap said stem also respires along with the leaves in plants. Can you support this statement? Give reasons. Next, distinguish between inspiration and expiration, respiration and combustion. Next, 4 marks questions. Draw a flow chart to show the pathway of air in human respiratory system. If you have a chance to meet pulmonologist, what questions you are going to clarify about pulmonary respiration? Write about the structure of mitochondria. What are the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? Explain the mechanism of gaseous exchange at bronchial level. Next, 8 marks questions. What procedure you followed to understand anaerobic respiration in your school laboratory? How do you prove that heat is liberated during respiration? Next, observe the experiment and answer the questions. What is the aim of this experiment? Which materials are required to conduct this experiment? What kind of seeds do you use to get better results in this experiment? What is your observation in these experiments? Next, observe the experiment and answer the questions. What is the aim of this experiment? Label the parts of the diagram. Why do we pour liquid paraffin wax on glucose solution with yeast? What change do we observe the thermometer? How do we confirm the release of carbon dioxide? State similarities and differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Next, transportation. Observe the given table and answer the questions. Next, what is the relationship between weight and heat and rate of the heartbeat? Rate of the heartbeat. Next, what is the biggest artery in the body? Name the device used to measure the blood pressure. What are the types of blood vessels in human body? Why is blood pressure more in arteries than veins? Observe the sample graph. What does the above graph indicates? Can we say that pulse rate is always equal to heartbeat? What is the normal blood pressure of healthy man? What does the numbers indicate? Next, look at the following diagram. What does the diagram represents? Give an example. Next, 2 marks questions. State the differences between systole and diastole. What will happen if blood platelets are not there in blood? What questions will you ask a cardiologist about heart attack? Why does swelling occurs on legs when we walk for a long distance? Write the differences between xylem and phloem. Write the equation for blood coagulation. To motivate people, write slogans about organ donation. Next, 4 marks. Internal structure of human heart. What is blood pressure? What precautions do you follow to avoid high and low blood pressure? What is the difference between arteries and veins? What precautions do you suggest about edema? Observe the given picture and answer the questions. Next, which process is known in given picture? Which principle involved in a given picture? Where is the salt concentration is low? Where is the salt concentration is high? Next, 8 marks questions. Explain the way how plants get water by osmosis through root hair. Next, describe the process of coagulation of blood. What is the differences between arteries and veins? Describe the internal structure of heart. How can you prove that the water is transported through the xylem? Next, chapter 4, excretion. 1 mark questions. Which secondary metabolite is used for varnish preparation? Next, read the table and answer the questions. Next, what are the excretory organs in platyhelminthes? Excretory organs in man. Next, explain ESRD. Where is the waste stored in plants? What is the reason for yellow color of urine? Why are nephra known as structural and functional units of kidney? Define uremia. Expand PCT and DCT. Next, 2 marks questions. What are the consequences if the kidney is not functioning properly? Write some slogans to motivate people about organ donation. What happens if waste metals are not sent out of the body from the time to time? Next, to keep our kidney healthy, what questions will you ask a nephrologist? How plants manage the waste products? What happens if vasopressin is not released? Next, 4 marks questions. Draw the nephron structure diagram and label it. Structure of human brain. Study the following table and answer the question. Which part of the neem plant produce neem? Which alkaloid act as insecticide? Which alkaloid produced by datura plant? Which alkaloid cures malaria? If you have a chance to meet a nephrologist, what questions will you ask to know more about kidney failure? Describe the excretory system of a man. What is the hemodialysis? Explain the principles involved. Next, draw a diagram of LS of kidney. 8 marks questions. Explain various steps in the mechanism of formation of urine. Next, chapter 5, coordination. 1 mark questions. Identify the movement in the given diagram. Identify the following diagram. What will happen if insulin production is stopped from pancreas? What is meant by synapse? What is the main role of ethylene in plants? Which hormone is considered as fight or flight hormone? Adrenaline, increasing heartbeat rate, somatotropion. Next, correct the following sentence. So the brain compresses a little more than 20% of the body's weight, use 2% of the whole body energy. Next, write the name of the gland present in the following picture. Next, 2 marks questions. Difference between bolus and chyme. What is the main function of afferent neurons of sensory neurons? Fill the important empty boxes and A and B. Write the functions of cytokines. What is the meant by Gairy and Celsi? Write the functions of cerebrum. Write the differences between efferent and afferent neurons. Classify the following hormones as asked in the following table. Adrenaline, abscisic acid, ethylene, thyroxine, estrogen, auxins, testosterone, gibberellins. Next, 4 marks questions. Write the differences between axon and dendrite. What is the main function of afferent neurons or sensory neurons? Write any two phytohormones and their functions. Draw a neatly diagonal diagram of brain and write new points how it is protected. Draw the diagram of nerve cell and label the parts. Describe different topic movements of plant. Read the table of endocrine glands and answer the questions. Which hormones influence the metabolic activities? Write the influences of estrogen hormones. Which hormone helps increase the heartbeat rate? Which hormone that influence emotions and secrets? Next, 8 more questions. Draw a neatly labeled diagram of brain and write few points how it is protected. Draw the diagram of nerve cell and label the parts. Next, reproduction. 1 more questions. Name the part A in the given diagram. Next, A at what temperature does the testes are able to produce sperms? Expands, aids, expand yesterday. What is meant by colostrums? Give 2 examples for unisexual flowers. Name the third stage of interphase of a cell cycle. Why the worm size is larger than the size of sperm? What do we call the asexual reproduction in Hydra? Next, 2 marks questions. Study the following table. Next, give an example for a plant that propagates vegetative by root. Which part of the plant body involved in vegetative propagation in bryophyllum? Next, study the following table. What is the birth control method of in females? What is the process of surgery in males to control the birth? What are the changes do you observe in the flower after fertilization? What are the advantages of sexual reproduction? Write slogans to bring awareness in people to control the child marriages. Write slogans to bring awareness in people to stop female foeticide. Why do fish and frog produce a huge number of eggs each year? Anil and Chandu are newly married couple. They need not kids for some time. Give your advice to a newly married couple in birth control methods. Observe the following picture and answer the questions given below. Is the above flower unisexual or bisexual? Which part of the above flower produce pollen? Next, 4 marks questions. Draw the internal structure of flower diagram and label it. Draw and label the diagram of a human sperm cells. Next, study the following and answer the questions. In which phase a plate-like structure is formed? Next, what happens in the last phase? What is the first phase mitosis? What are pulled towards poles in anaphase? Next, draw a draw a flow chart to show the pathway of air in human respiratory system. If you have a chance to meet pulmonologist, what questions are you are going to? Next, clarify about pulmonary respiration. Write about the structure of mitochondria. What are the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? Explain the mechanism of gaseous exchange at bronchial level. Next, write the differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. Next, list and describe the artificial vegetative reproduction methods in plants. Next, write the differences between mitosis and meiosis. Next, what precautions do you advise to control the spread of sexually transmitted next diseases? Next, observe the following picture and answer the questions given below. What is the name of above diagram? Label the part A and B. What is the meant by tubectomy? The hormone that influences emotions secretes from which endocrine gland? Next, 8 marks questions. Explain the process of fertilization in plants. What are the differences modes of asexual reproduction? Cite them with examples. Next, crocodile coordination. Chapter 7, coordination in life process. 1 mark questions. What happens if salivary ducts are closed? Next, which of the following pair is incorrect? Next, which hormone suppress the hunger pangs? Next, identify the AB in the given diagram. Next, what is the dental formula of man? Next, what is mastication? 2 marks questions. Ask 2 questions to a dentist to know the to know the function of teeth in man. Next, write the differences between bolus and chyme. Next, what is the 4 types of teeth in man? Next, ask 2 questions to your teacher to know the relationship between taste and smell of food. Next, in which part of digestive system we could find peristalsis movements. Next, why is small intestine very lengthy and coiled? Write the relationship between taste and smell. Next question, 4 marks questions. Draw a schematic diagram of villus in the small intestine and label the parts. Next, how can you justify the enteric nervous system as the second brain of the gut? How can you justify the enteric nervous system as the second brain of the gut? Next, 8 marks questions. What experiment should you perform to understand action of saliva and starch? Explain its procedure and operators that you followed. Next, chapter 8, Heredity. 1 mark questions. In Mendel's monohybrid crossing, the phenotypic ratio is. Next, identify the correct pair. Next, Charles Darwin, natural selection theory, gene Lamarck, law of dominance. Next, what is meant by allele? Next, who is said to be a moving museum of vestigial organs? What is the phenotype ratio of Mendel's monohybrid cross hybridization? Next, what is the genotype ratio of Mendel's monohybrid cross hybridization? Next, what is meant by Mendel's law of segregation? What is meant by Mendel's law of dominance? Name the scientist who discovered the structure of DNA. How many chromosomes are there in one human cell? Next, how many allosomes are there in one human cell? Next, who wrote the book Principles of Geology? Next, 2 marks questions. What are the variations? How do they help organisms? What is meant of vestigial organs? Give 2 examples. Next, what is the law of independent assessment? Explain with an example. What is meant by homozygous and heterozygous? Next, one experimenter cut the tails of parents' rats. What could be the traits of offspring? Do the daughter rats contain tails or not? Explain your argument. Next, 4 mark questions. Explain monohybrid cross hybridization with an example. What are the characters Mendel selected for his experiments on pea plant? Next, 8 marks questions. Explain the process of sex determination in man. Explain the process of sex determination in human beings. Explain the Darwin's theory of evolution, nature selection with an example. Next, explain monohybrid cross hybridization with an example. Next, what are the characters Mendel selected for his experiments on pea plant? Next, chapter 9, our environment. 1 mark questions. Suggest the eco-friendly method to increase the crop yield. Next, suggest an eco-friendly method to control crop pests. What will happen if the primary consumers decrease an ecosystem? What is meant by niche? What is meant by bioaccumulation? What is meant by biomagnification? Give 2 examples for biotic factors of a biosphere. Give 2 examples for abiotic factors of a biosphere. Expand BOD. Who is the scientist that first introduced the ecological pyramid concept? Which organisms are represented at the base of an ecological pyramid? Next, 2 marks questions. What will happen if we remove predators from food web? Prepare slogans to promote awareness in your classmates about eco-friendly activities. What happens to the amount of energy transferred from one step to the next in food chain? What is trophic level? What does it represent in an ecological pyramid? 4 marks questions. What is bioremediation and how does it help us? What is ecological pyramid and types? Draw any food chain with 4 levels. What are the producers and decomposers in a food chain? Next, 8 marks questions. Explain some biological control methods to protect the environment. What is biomass? Draw a pyramid of biomass for the given food chain. Grass, leaves, herbivores, predators, hawk. Next, natural resources. 1 mark questions. What will happen if fossil fuels are completely exhausted on the earth? Guess. Ask 2 questions to your biology teacher about conservation of forest. Write 1 suggestion to reduce the effect of global warming. Give 2 examples for greenhouse gases. Which crop do you grow to produce biodiesel? Expand ICRSAT. Expand UNDP. Expand MTR. Expand IUCN. Expand 4RS. Write the name of the following pictures. Next, 2 marks questions. What is sustainable development? How is it useful in natural resources management? Suggest some approaches towards the conservation of forests. Next, 4 marks questions. Write slogans on conservation of biodiversity. What 4 suggestions to use fossil fuels like petroleum, coal, and natural gas economically? Write slogans on conservation of a tree. Next, 8 marks questions. Write a detailed note on management of a natural resource. Why should we conserve forest and wildlife? Natural resources are decreased more rapidly. Guess what will be the consequences? Please subscribe for the Tech channel, like it and share it. Thank you.